Okay, so we are here due to some unavoidable reasons. There is a disconnection in between the video. Okay, so these are the two products. This is the ortho position while this is the para position as respect to this CH3. While this thing we studied in 11th standard also, the whatever the substituents on the benzene, it decides at which position substituents are going to attach. As here is a methyl group, that's why ortho and para activated positions, and that's why there is a formation of orthobromotoluene and parabromotoluene. This is not in haphazard we are getting ortho and para. This is due to this CH3. This CH3 is directing or activating ortho and para position. So this is orthobromotoluene and this is parabromotoluene. And the next important thing is that electrophilic substitution with iodine, if you are going to say, then it is reversible. Reversible means I2 if you are going to treat, then there is half arrow here and half arrow there, means reactant is converted into product and product is again converted into reactant. So we know we didn't get our desired product when it is a reversible reaction. Okay, while in the fluorine is highly reactive. Sometimes it gives us explosive reactions. So if we are going to lower the reactivity of the fluorine, then reaction is possible only. If we are going to reduce the reactivity or lower the reactivity of the fluorine, then only reaction is possible. Means here in halogenation, mostly we get reactions with bromine or chlorine, not with iodine and not with fluorine. Next reaction is again the naming reaction. This is Sandmeyer's reaction. Okay, Sandmeyer is the name of the scientist. Okay, this is again we are going to study in the chapter 13th, but now here also there is a reference of this reaction, so I am explaining total reaction over here. Sandmeyer's reaction. What is this reaction? When aniline. What is aniline? When amine group is attached to benzene is known as aniline. This compound is known as aniline. Is reacted with nitrous acid. What is that? HNO2 in presence of hydrohalide acid, that is HX. Hydrohalogen acid, HX means HCl, HBr, HI, that is hydrogen halide acid. HCl acid, HI acid, HBr acid, HX. This is halo in presence of halo acids. In presence of halo acids at lower temperature. What is that temperature? 273 or the 278 Kelvin. 273 Kelvin means how many degrees? Calculate and tell me. 273 278 Kelvin, low temperature. Then it gives benzene diazonium halide salt. Very important. Benzene diazonium halide salt. What is benzene diazonium halide salt? This is our benzene. For these two nitrogens, that is the N2, we say diazonium because it is having charge, positive charge. Then halide, that is the X is again having a charge, and this is salt. How this is salt? Very simply, NaCl is a salt, we know it from our 6th standard. Na plus Cl minus gives us salt. Similarly, N2 plus X minus gives us salt. Okay, so this is known as benzene diazonium halide salt. Okay, now how we get this product? Very important. First of all, I write this NH2 as NHH. Okay, then what is next? Next is NaNO2. What is that? This is Na and two oxygens, NaNO2, and we are in presence of HX, so here it is writing HX. Now in the product there is formation of N2, so here it is we are using N2. This is our N2. Okay, this is our N2. This N2 is now here. Okay, then we are taking X, so this X is there. Okay, so what is there? There are two hydrogens, there is sodium, there are two oxygens, and again one hydrogen. Okay, from the remaining whatever the reactants, we can say there is a formation of H2O. So here it is formation of H2O. So this is one hydrogen, this is another hydrogen, and one oxygen. There is formation of H2O. Now what is remaining? Remaining one is one sodium, one oxygen, and one hydrogen, and there is formation of NaOH. So this is easy to understand how product we get. Okay, if you remember reactant, if you remember reagent, then you can easily write product by remembering all these things. By writing in this way, we get byproduct H2O NaOH, and the remaining one is benzene diazonium halide salt. Okay, I make it easy to understand, so you will can, there is not necessary to do the reactions by heart. By writing reactant, you can write the product if you know very well the what is the reagent. Okay, make a habit of writing like this. Okay, so everything whatever the given in the textbooks, you cannot do it by heart. Okay, you have to use your logic, you have to use your common sense, and then you can write the reactions, you can balance the reactions. Now further, this diazonium halide salt is reacting with CuX2 or CuCl2, that is a cuprous chloride. Okay, now here cuprous chloride, if it is a cuprous chloride, then this is aryl chloride. If it is cuprous bromide, then this is aryl bromide. But in general, for X, I am writing here aryl halide. This X may be chlorine, this X may be bromine. Okay, X may be chlorine, X may be bromine, but not fluorine. As we know very well, this fluorine is highly reactive, and whatever this N2, it goes out in the form of gas. There is a formation of gas, nitrogen gas. There is formation of nitrogen gas. Okay, this N2 gas in the form of gas, nitrogen gas expel out, and that's why we are showing upward arrow. Okay, this is the reaction which is known as Sandmeier's reaction. This is the naming reaction. In your all competitive exams, they asking the reactions by the name of the scientist, and such type of reactions are known as naming reactions, You make one notebook, another notebook, and whatever we are going to study, all the naming reactions, write it down over there. So for the quick revision, you will have another notes. Okay, this is the Sandmeier's reaction. Next is now very important thing. As if you are going to say about the human being, each and every human being is having a particular height, particular weight, particular color, a particular body status or structure. Okay, all these are physical properties, Okay, and what is the, how your lungs are working, how your other organs are working, how is your brain, how is your eyesight, those are medicinal properties. In our chemistry, those are chemical properties, those are internal properties, those are depend upon the characteristics of the organic compound, and these are the physical properties, means how you look, how you are going to perform, how what is your height, what is your weight, what is your body structure. These are the physical properties. In physical properties, the first one is the nature of bonding. This nature of bonding is also called nature of intermolecular forces. This is also called nature of intermolecular forces. Okay, intermolecular forces means what? There are two molecules, and in between that there is some force. This is known as intermolecular forces. Okay, now here this nature of bonding, when we are going to study intermolecular forces, we have to study. And here halogen atom bears a partial negative charge. They bears partial negative charge because they are more electronegative than carbon. These halogens are more electronegative than carbon. That's why they are having partial negative charge. How this is so? See now, this is our carbon and halogen. Here are two electrons which they share and there is a formation of covalent bond. But this is more electronegative, then this halogen will pull these two electrons towards there, and that's why they carries partial negative charge. Now one electron is from carbon, one electron is from halogen, but if both these electrons if are going towards halogen, then this carbon will acquire partial positive charge. Are you getting this thing? That's why here I wrote this halogen atom bears partial negative charge whereas carbon bears partial positive charge. There is a pull like this in between CX. Okay, CX. Now depending upon the size of halogen, this nature of bonding is different. Here size of halogen increases in the periodic table. We know that size of halogens increases in the periodic table. Okay, how this is so? See here, this is our fluorine atomic number 9. Okay, chlorine atomic number 17, bromine atomic number 35, iodine atomic number 53. They are all elements of group 17. Okay, if they acquire one electron plus one electron, they are converted into group 18, and that is the noble gas group. We know that neon, krypton, argon, all these are from the noble gas group, so they are having more stable. Okay, and now here this is a polar bond. And why this is so? Because this depend upon the size of halogen. As atomic number goes on increasing, size is also goes on increasing from fluorine to iodine. See now here it is a CF bond, CCl bond, CBr bond, Ci bond. As atomic number goes on increasing, these circles are goes on increasing, these valence shells goes on increasing, these orbitals goes on increasing. Okay, here are 2, here it is 3, here it is are 4, here it is are 5, like this. And as these are, so this bond length is here is a short, then here it is somewhat higher than that, here it is again in the increasing order, here it is again the increasing order. So this bond length is very small as compared to Ci. And now you will come to know intramolecular force is here higher than Ci. Okay, so what is the nature of bonding? This bond is strong bond than this bond. CF bond is strong bond than the Ci. See now here, data is given in table number 10.2. CH3F bond length is 139 picometer. Then in CH3Cl this is 178, while this is CBr this is 193, while in CH3I this is 214. Bond length goes on increasing as size goes on increasing or atomic number goes on increasing. So related to this or the depend upon this, bond enthalpy. What do you mean by bond enthalpy? Bond enthalpy means energy required to break the bond is known as bond enthalpy. So for to break the bond CF in CH3F, we required higher energy. It is in kilojoules per mole. As this bond length is very short, we required a very higher energy. We know that if our bond is very strong and is very small, then it is very difficult to break it. We require very high energy. Okay, but if the length goes on increasing, we required lower energy. This is like this, then this is like this, then this is like this, then this is like this. You can break very easily here when there is a bond length is more, so bond energy required is very less as compared to this. This is again all things are given in table number 10.2 in our textbook. Next point is boiling point. What is boiling point? Due to polarity between alkyl halides, it have a more boiling point than the alkenes. Now we are comparing alkyl halides with respect to alkenes. Okay, boiling point, we know that the energy required to break the bond, that is the boiling point, or scientifically when atmospheric pressure is equal to, yes, which pressure is equal to internal pressure, that is known as boiling point. Okay, now here due to van der Waals forces of attraction, the boiling point is increases with the increasing the molecular mass of the halogen, increasing the molecular mass of the halogen. See now, here it is CH3F, CH3Cl, CH3Br, CH3I. Here it is 194.6 boiling point, while here it is 315.4.9. Now from here also we will come to know, as the size of the molecule is bigger, boiling point is higher. As the size of the molecule is smaller, boiling point is lower. Okay, we know that if it is a smaller person, very weak person or thin person, we can push it very easily. But if it is a heavy, hefty person, then we require more energy to shift. Same way in the boiling point, here it is this molecule is very small, so 194.6, while here CH3I is a very bigger compound like this, and that's why it required more, that's why its boiling point is higher, 31.5.5. Okay, these are the two things, polarity between alkyl halides and alkene, this is another point, and van der Waals force of attraction, the boiling point is increases, size goes on increasing, van der Waals force of attraction goes on increasing, and so the this is depend upon the molecular mass of the halogen, and we know that the molecular atomic number goes on increasing, molecular mass is also goes on increasing. Okay, this is for boiling point. Now few more things are given in our textbook regarding boiling point. As the carbon number increases, the boiling point increases. As the carbon number increases, boiling point increases. This is haloalkane, only one carbon, then boiling point is 248.8. If there are two carbons, then 285.3. Propyl chloride 320. 1, 2, 3, 4, 351. See how you are going to relate these two things. Here it is only one CC single, here it is only one C and Cl bond. Now here it is CC one single bond, then CCl bond, so two bonds. Now here 1, 2, 3 major bonds I am telling you. There are other bonds also with C with the hydrogens, we have to count those two, but only specifically I mentioned these major bonds, CC bond, CCl bond, CC bond, Cl. So it is only one bond, then here are two bonds, here are three bonds, here are 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds. And as bonds are more, boiling point is also goes on increasing, means energy required to break the bond is more, so the boiling point is more. Okay, remember this thing. Then second thing is, if there is a branching, and if the branching increases, the boiling point will decrease. These I explain in 11th standard also. If it is a straight structure, it acquires more space. It is a straight structure, it acquires more space, and so to break the bonds we need more energy. See here, this is a straight structure, N structure. Okay, the boiling point is 375. If there is a one branch, then boiling point is 364, lower than that. If there are two branches, then boiling point is more less, that is 346, because it required a very less surface. This required more surface and this required more surface than that, and that's why this way branching increases, the boiling point will decreases. Next one is solubility. This is again very simple thing. Due to the polarity, alkyl halides are insoluble in water. We know this very well. Organic compounds are insoluble in water, while inorganic compounds are soluble in water. Because due to inability of alkyl halides to form hydrogen bonds with water. Solubility in water means what? If they are going to form hydrogen bonds in water, then they are soluble in water. Alkyl halides are also insoluble in water but soluble in organic solvents. I explained just now. so that alkyl and allyl halides soluble in organic solvents. The isomeric dihalobenzene nearly same boiling point but different melting point. Melting point of para isomer is high compound to ortho and meta isomers because of symmetrical structure. This is a something new point given in our new syllabus. Okay, so what is that? See here, what is given? This is ortho compound. What is that? With respect to this chlorine is ortho. This chlorine is ortho. With respect to this chlorine is meta. With respect to this chlorine is para. Okay. Now what is boiling point? Here it is 453, 446 and here little bit increased 448. While here 256, this is 249 and this is 323. These are the isomers of dihalobenzene. These are the isomers. They are having same, extremely sorry. They are having same molecular formula but different structural formula. These are isomeric dihalogen benzenes. Isomeric dihalogen benzenes. Okay. So these two are nearly having same boiling point but different melting points. Boiling points are nearly same. Boiling points are nearly same but melting points are different. Okay, and in the para isomer it is very high. This is 256 while this is 323. This is very high. Okay, and in ortho and meta isomer, as respect to ortho and meta isomers, because of this structure is the symmetrical structure. This structure is symmetrical structure. There is, you can see the symmetry in this way or there is a symmetry in this way. Okay, and if this is so, it required higher energy to convert solid compound into liquid, and that's why this melting point is very high. This melting point is very high. So up till now we studied methods of preparation of alkyl halides and physical properties of alkyl halides. Next topic is optical activity and that we are going to study in the next video.